Victoria Azarenka has made a name for herself over this Australian Open tournament, but not in the best light. In fact, it's been pretty ugly for her. So let's get caught up on what has been happening. The first thing we'll talk about is a classic example of bad sportsmanship. The tennis world was shocked when the former #1 star stormed off the court after a serious beatdown at the hands of the 16-year-old Czech star Linda Fruhvirtova.
Ladies and gentlemen, unfortunately Victoria Azarenka's retired match won by Fruhvirtova with the score of 6-3 love retirement.
The Belarusian star was the 12th seed at the event, but she was never in the match at all. It was a lopsided affair. Azarenka shook the hands of her opponent and the umpire, even though it was quite obvious her heart was not in it. The umpire even tried to pull Azarenka aside for a chat, but the tennis star simply walked away. Fruhvirtova didn't seem fazed. She was treating it like a normal change of end, but the umpire had no choice but to call the results. Fruhvirtova was asked about it. I don't know what happened at the end. She was struggling with some injuries. I don't know, but it was an honor to share the court with her. That is a very safe and thoughtful reaction.
Yeah, I just wish her that she feels better as soon as possible.
After they shook hands, Azarenka walked off court. The match was over. What else could they do? It was not clear to anyone why she retired, but it was clear her head was not in it. She even shouted at her coaches, "Why am I here?" during the match. Viewers were unhappy and left with a bad taste in their mouths.
Alright, I don't like it anymore. That's people pay to come see it.
An exit like that is uncommon in a tennis match. People were so upset that world number 5, Daniela Hantuchova, called for the WTA to look into the events that led up to the disrespectful moment. Hantuchova said the most disrespectful part was her decision to leave and not give a reason why. Most disrespectful in order: her opponent, the crowd, and the umpire. Social media roasted her, as they like to do. But after things calmed down a little bit, Azarenka released a statement, even though it didn't clarify all that much. She said she shouldn't have gone on the court. The last few weeks had been extremely stressful in her personal life. She thanked the audience and her opponent. She said she hoped to take a break and return having learned from her behavior. That is a strange situation for sure, but not the only weird thing involving Azarenka. After a semi-final loss at this year's Australian Open, Azarenka was very short with the media. It appears that the Belarusian tennis star is tired of answering questions about the Russia and Ukraine war. The ugliness of the issue came into the spotlight once again when Novak Djokovic's father was filmed posing with pro-Putin activists outside Melbourne Park. Most athletes don't like to lose, so they may be in tender moods and not super excited to answer a lot of questions. And that is exactly what went down in the press conference with Azarenka. Journalists pressed her with questions. They wanted to know how such an incident may affect Djokovic and other players. It should be noted that Azarenka is one of several players who are not allowed to represent Russia or Belarus on tour. Instead, they compete as neutral athletes. She was quick with her answers and seemed to be annoyed with the line of questioning. I don't know that it has anything to do with Novak at all, to be fair. She was firing on all cylinders. I don't know what you guys want us to do about it. Like, talk about it? I don't know what's the goal here, that it's continuously brought up.
In my opinion, have nothing to do with players, but somehow you keep dragging players into it. So what's the goal here?
It's refreshing to hear an athlete speak their mind instead of using waffle cone statements to satisfy the media. These incidents, in my opinion, have nothing to do with the players, but somehow you keep dragging players into it. Azarenka pushed back on the media and asked them her own questions. She asked the journalists, what is their goal by asking her all these questions? I think you should ask yourself that question, not me, she said. Whatever answer I give you right now, it is going to be turned whichever way you want to turn it. So does it bother me? What bothers me is that there are real things that are going on in the world. I don't know. Are you a politician? Are you covering politics?
What bothers me is there's real things that's going on in the world. And I don't know, are you a politician? Are you? Are you covering politics?
The journalist muttered a quiet no. Gulp, remind me to never mess with Victoria Azarenka. And I'm an athlete. Azarenka is honest and real. It's a nice reprieve from so many of the stilted answers you hear from athletes and celebrities. She understands the pressure regarding the situation involving Ukraine and Russia, and she knows her place as an athlete. She is not the one who is going to fix the war. You're asking me things that maybe somebody says are in my control, but I don't believe that. I don't know what you want me to answer. If it is a provocative question, then you can spin the story however you want it.
I don't know what you want me to answer. And if it's a provocative question, then, you can spin the story however you want.
And that is true, isn't it? Don't we see perfect examples all the time of quotes and comments being taken completely out of their original context? Just as we thought things might be settling down, the debate about Russia and Belarusian athletes competing at this year's Australian Open were once again thrown into the spotlight when Novak Djokovic's father posed with a group of pro-Russian protesters. It seems like there is no escape sometimes, and Azarenka is feeling it from all around.
She does it again. 18 wins in her last 19 on court here.
Hopefully, things calm down again, and these super talented athletes can get back to doing what they do best. Very recently, the Australian Olympic Committee backed the International Olympic Committee's decision to continue sanctions against Russia, Belarus, which includes players from those nations, which will be forced to play in international competition as neutral athletes. But in the meantime, we've got one more fun moment in the life and times of Victoria Azarenka. It comes from a fiery competition in Qatar in 2022. It was one of the longest matches of the season, a savage 2-hour and 48-minute marathon. The Belarusian rallied from down 0-4 to win. Her opponent seemed to be unraveling and smashed 4 rackets. Azarenka had a hilarious and somewhat uncomfortable exchange with the umpire. She said her opponent smashed her racket 7 times, of which the referee corrected her and said only 4 times.
She threw her racket like 7 times. 4 is okay. So which one is goes up?
Azarenka said, "Oh, okay, only 4 times. 4 is okay," and then added that she needed a mental coach and a psychiatrist.
She needs a mental coach. She needs a psychiatrist.
Azarenka stormed back and took the lead, much to the displeasure of her competitor. Azarenka was irked pretty good by the behavior of her opponent. That is the nature of competition, I guess. It's good to know that Azarenka isn't always the one on the edge of sanity. Thanks for tuning in, guys. We appreciate the support and all the love. We will return soon with another video to entertain you. In the meantime, please hit the like and subscribe buttons. We'll see you soon. Take care.